Assalamu alaikum, hi everyone, I'm Aminul and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today in this video I'm gonna present Patrick Bet-David top 10 motivational video, and these videos are related to entrepreneurship, motivation, inspiration and about life. And well, don't forget to comment below that about what topic you wanna watch my next video. So here we go.
There's a reason why you're a starving entrepreneur. This did not happen by accident. This doesn't just one day you wake up and you're a starving entrepreneur. And your number one thing to survive as an entrepreneur, your mission is to learn how to sell and make a six-figure income so that you can build your business. And people say, but it's so hard, Pat. You don't know how many hours I'm at the office. Look, sitting at the office, checking Facebook, being away from your family is not work. Just because you're at the office doesn't mean you're working hard. How many calls did you make today? How many appointments did you run today? How many people did you meet with today? How many people did you present your product today? How many prospects did you get today? There's not a day that should go by where an entrepreneur doesn't sell somebody. Look, if you go home tonight and you don't knock out on the couch because you're so tired of how hard you work, you're not going to make it as an entrepreneur. If you're going to call yourself an entrepreneur, be an entrepreneur. The first mission as an entrepreneur is to learn how to make a living selling your product. Go sell something today. You know who makes America work? Let me tell you who makes America work. No matter how many ways we do it, this is just what works. Entrepreneurs. For many years, America, listen, before we get into it, I want to say this to you. I want you to understand how important our role is. I think the two people who are patriots in America are our patriots who put their life on the line, but I think the second patriots are entrepreneurs who put their salary on the line. You may not put your life on the line, but let me tell you something. You put your salary on the line. Who knows what I'm talking about when I say you put your salary on the line? Any entrepreneur know what I'm referencing when I say put your salary on the line. Let me allude to what I mean by that. When you have a job and you're making your 3, 4, 5 grand every month consistently, it's security. You feel it's security. It's warm. It's comfortable. You know, you get to have your barbecue once a month. You get to have a decent life. You got some nice benefits. You know, and somebody introduces you to an opportunity and you start working, and most don't. 80% don't. They go back to protecting their salary. 20% say, man, this is scary. They have a conversation with their wife and their family and their husband, and they say, baby, I'm gonna make this decision. Babe, this is scary. I know, baby. And they go to sleep. And you know what happens to an entrepreneur when he goes to sleep? He has a lot of anxiety attacks. He has worries. She stresses out. They think about their bills. They see savings deplete. They see all of a sudden things happen. But do you know why they do it? They do it because they have a dream. Because they don't want to live an average and ordinary life, and neither do you. If you're here tonight, you don't. You have a choice to go out there and play poker right now if you wanted to. You have a choice to go out there and play blackjack if you wanted to today. But you're here today. You don't have to be here today. You're not an employee like Bridgestone to be here today. You chose to be here today. It is your choice to be here today. You chose. Whether you get up and walk out right now, we cannot fire you. You have chosen to be in this room today because we prefer choice over force. Is what we as human beings prefer is choice. I want to choose because I want what I want to do. Two of the most honorable jobs any human being could take is being in the military and being an entrepreneur, because both of them have a lot of risk. If you're in the military, you could get killed. If you're an entrepreneur, you could get killed. You don't do it for the small little thing. Both of them have the same outcome. You know what the outcome is, both of them? It starts with the letter F. What is it? Freedom. Why do 41 million immigrants come here? And number 2 country is 11 million, Russia. Why do people come here? Why? Because we want to be free, man. I think most companies are talking about whether they hit your numbers or not. I think most companies are talking about the smaller stuff. And what they don't realize is they're going to live 80 years and they'll die. And no one will remember them but a few people. And within 2 generations, they're forgotten. and history will not favor them. I mean, I don't see a purpose in that. I really don't think the Creator gave you all those unique gifts that you got, just to go out there and be a regular person. I don't. And I don't think you do either. I think when you're alone by yourself and you're kind of talking to yourself in a car or in front of the mirror and you think you really are special, guess what? You really are special. But you only believe that for a split second and you go back to feeling like you're not special. So we got to get you to feel like you're special more often, and you are responsible for that, not us all the time.
I know you're scared. I know you're sitting here wondering how you're going to pay for this breakfast, let alone your car payment or your rent. How much are your bills past due, by the way, huh? How much credit card debt you got right now? How many times last week did your credit card decline? So you can cut this tough guy attitude with me. Believe me, I'm not impressed. See, there's two things you got to keep in mind. One, things can change. Two, you gotta change. I've sat exactly where you're sitting here right now. I've sat lonely, broken, betrayed. Betrayed by my boss that couldn't care less about my future. Betrayed by the girls that couldn't care less about my future. Betrayed by my friends who couldn't care less about my dreams. The challenge with you is, do you think the world is against you? The world's not against you, it's you against you. The way you're going right now, this is the perfect path for self-destruction. Your boss betrays you, so what? Go get into sales and learn how to make your own money. All these girls you're trying to impress with the money you don't have, for what? And your friends, why are you trying to show off to them? The right ones will accept you and be friends with you long term. You gotta figure out a way to dig yourself out. Not by going to Vegas and trying to win on the blackjack table or trying to get lucky. I'm talking long-term thinking. I know you've gone through a lot of tough times. I know you have a lot of experience. Trust me, I understand that. Things can change. You gotta change. Am I making sense to you?
Hey, hon, anything else you need?
I got everything I need right here. It's going to be interesting who shows up. Good Pat or bad Pat? What do you think? He's a good kid. We'll be fine. Today I want to talk to the CEOs and founders out there. By the way, you're going to have to make a lot of different decisions in your career as a founder and an entrepreneur. But today I want to talk to you about the top 10 decisions you'll have to make as a founder. So before I get into today's message, I want to talk to all the people that keep sending messages saying, Pat, when are we doing the first Valuetainment Live conference? Is it still on? We crossed 1 million subs. I was in London just a few days ago. 100 people showed up to the meetup. That was the number one question. When are we doing the 3-day live Valuetainment conference? We haven't forgotten about it. Stay tuned. We got some big announcements coming soon. So having said that, let me get right into the message. Number one thing a founder needs to think about, a decision you got to make, is do I partner with somebody or do I go solo? By the way, There is no right answer here. There just isn't a right answer here. Let me explain what I mean by this. There are certain people that probably shouldn't marry somebody like their own personality. A lot of times when these partnerships don't work, they don't work because people team up with somebody very similar to themselves, and it just doesn't work out. And there's a lot of times people go solo all by themselves, thinking they can do it all, and they can't do it by themselves. They need someone with them. It's almost, probably the best analogy to give you is the following. Some people can win and be the lead guy, like a Jordan needs a couple role players to go win, but a Pippen can't win on his own. He needed to have somebody else be a number one. You have to kind of realize, are you a number one person, 2, 3, 4, 5? What role do you best play and position yourself there? Matter of fact, I did a video on this, so you should go watch because I get into a little bit more detail. It's called How to Choose Your Business Partner. The link is right here. The thumbnail is right here. I'm gonna put the link below for you to watch. If this is a decision you are currently going through, go watch this video, it's for you. Okay, so the second decision you'll have to make is startup capital. Do you use your own money or do you go raise it? Look, for me, I decided to go make my own money, have my own money, build the business, validate who I am in the marketplace, then go raise money and not give a lot of equity. Instead, give the equity to the people that are internal within the company. That's the route I took, but that's one of many. There's a lot of people that go raise the money and build an incredible business. There's a lot of people that don't go raise money and they do their own money and they do very well. The biggest thing I'll tell you, every time you hear these stories of, but what did Mark Zuckerberg do? He started a business and his friend Edward, $18,000, and that's how they build it. And what if we build it that way? But on the other side, these guys raise it in Silicon Valley, they raise $6 million. And what if I go that route? There isn't a one story that fits for everybody here. But if you are in a position right now where you're looking to raise money, I have a video titled How to Raise Money as an Entrepreneur. This is the thumbnail. Again, the link will be below for you to go watch. Number 3, customer. This is important because you have to get very clear on who your customer is. If you watch Valuetainment, you know I've done videos so many times and I talk about this. But as a founder, every time I hear somebody says, I want everybody to be my customer, that's fine. The more niche and specific you are at the beginning, the better you're gonna do. Jeff Bezos and Amazon, people say, well, Pat, look what Amazon does. They sell everything to everybody, but he started off niche with books, then it spread. Well, what about Walmart? Walmart sells so many different products, yes, but the product is built for middle America. Walmart is for middle America. They got very crystal clear on who their product is. McDonald's, before they messed up and they changed their identity, they understood their product was for kids. Happy Meal, Ronald McDonald. In 2008 or so, McDonald's decided to start selling salads because they were not getting enough single women going there. It was the first year where their stock didn't do that well. And their profit margin wasn't the same. Why? Because they forgot who their customer was, right? As the founder, you need to figure out exactly who your customer is. I have a video on that called What's More Important, Size or Position? This is the thumbnail. Link will be below. If this is a topic you're thinking about, go watch that video. Number 4, technology. I have 3 here, but it's really 2 choices you got. One is cheap, and you either go do somebody that doesn't really know what they're doing, you build it cheap, or you white label it, you go somebody that already has a platform, you go borrow their technology. Or number 2 is you go spend some money and build a real technology, and you keep it. Now, many will watch this and they'll say, well, Pat, what if I start cheap and what if I white label and then I go use something? That's totally fine. A lot of people do that. We did that at the beginning. But I will tell you a couple challenges you will face with that. If you all of a sudden start growing very fast and that technology company is not ready for you, you have a very big problem. Let me explain to you what's going on right now at the home office while I'm shooting this video with you. We have people here from all across the country that we flew in. We have people here that are engineers, probably 20, 30 engineers in our conference room right now, with stuff written all over the board. Maybe we'll give you a little sneak peek of what that room looks like right now. And you know what we're doing? We invested into a multi 7-figure budget technology of what we're building internally because we're bringing 4 different platforms together under one. And we're gonna own that technology, and it's an insane technology that we're owning. Why? Because we're at a crossroad. We either have to make a decision that if we're gonna go out there and have 500,000 licensed agents, we need to have our own technology internal to be able to scale it, or if we're just gonna say, well, this is just a build to sell, let's just go out there and sell it, and who cares about this? This has never been the vision. Of course, one day this is gonna become a reality, but the vision is to build the largest financial marketing organization. We have to figure out technology has to be internal with everything that we want because everybody else that used to be able to handle us at 100 policies a month, they can't handle us at 4, 5, 6,000 policies a month. We need our own. So you got to make that decision at what phase you want to adjust, and it's all about timing, because if you're too late, you're going to take a big hit. Number 5, location. I've never done a video on this. I'm tempted to do a video on it. It's not a very exciting video that people are going to say, oh my gosh, this is so great. But for the startup founder that is thinking about location, it's very important for you to know the location of where you build your headquarters. I was originally in LA County. And one day while I had my headquarters in LA County, it was in Woodland Hills. One day somebody came and knocked on the door. And they said, hey, we heard you're growing. How did you hear we're growing? Well, you're all over social media. People are saying you're growing. I said, so what's your point? Here's the bill. What's the bill? LA County requires you to pay taxes to the county. So I said, is this a real bill? Yes, it is. So I called my CPA. I said, CPA, do we have to pay for this? He says, here's how this works. If they found that you're growing and they come to you and they give it to you, you have to pay for it. If they don't come to you, you don't have to pay. I said, you mean to tell me after? Yes. There's 11 counties apparently in California, you don't have to pay that additional county tax. So the tax we had to pay was like $80,000, $100,000. I said, what do you mean I have to pay $80,000, $100,000? He said, you have to pay for it. I said, give me the counties. They give me the counties. And then I found out because of Hollywood, Burbank Studios in Glendale wrote a law many, many years ago that they don't have the county tax to pay. And then it was Santa Monica, Victorville, and a couple other pockets that it was 11 of them that we had. So we moved from Woodland Hills to Glendale for that area. And then from Glendale, we moved away to Texas for many different reasons. You have to think about locations. You have to think about if you're a small business, you know, and it's just a shop, traffic, right? You know, Sam Walton picked his first stores that he built not in top metropolitan cities, always 20, 30, 40 miles out of metropolitan cities in smaller cities. Not LA, more Fresno. Not, you know, it was always that because that was his decision of location. McDonald's always chose location based on freeways. Where's freeways at? Where's traffic? If you look at Starbucks, likes to have their location in places where other traffic comes to them. So they're not the sole reason. They'll be around other people and people come to them. It's location, right? A lot of different things you have to be thinking about, but this is a multi-dimensional type of a decision. I may get into another video, but that's location you'll have to think about. Number 6, competitors. How are you going to differentiate yourself? Who are you going to be in the marketplace? Who's going to be direct competitors of yours? And who thinks that you're their competitor, but you're going after a complete different market? How is it going to be different for you? You have to think about that. Like right now, if you're a founder, you're a CEO, you have to sit there and say, who are my direct competitors? And I know sometimes CEOs and founders don't like to say somebody's their competitor because they can't stand that competitor. You have to be very clear on who your competitors are and what they have an edge over you and what they don't. You need to know that. This isn't something you can just look away and say positive thinking, I don't want to be thinking about that. That's not how capitalism works. In a marketplace, if you don't think about your competitors and what areas they have an edge over you, all of a sudden they're going to take that market share away from you. Or if you're a threat and you don't look at them, they may put you out of business. So you have to know exactly how you're going to differentiate yourself. Number 7, culture. What kind of a culture are you going to build? Look, our culture in our sales offices is it's very competitive. You know, it's like a ESPN Sports Center. You know, everybody's trying to break records. It's a very, very competitive type of an environment, right? Home office is very collaborative. It may be very different. Now, at higher levels, the senior vice presidents or chairman's councils, they may collaborate more. But it's different with sales versus support versus home office versus different departments. And that culture comes from you, right? What kind of an environment is it? Is it a fun environment? Is it a serious environment? And some of you may say, well, what do you mean fun or serious? A law firm is going to be more serious, right, than a marketing agency. So how is that? It's going to be part of your culture, by the way, part of your personality that will bleed into the culture. But you have to ask yourself, I would like us to be kind of like XYZ minus this plus this element that I want to add myself. I'm not going to get too detailed into it. I did do a video on it called 24 Ways to Build Great Company Culture. Here's a thumbnail. If you want to find out about company culture, go watch the video below. Number 8, compensation plan. People call me, they'll pay me $50,000, $100,000, and they'll say, Pat, can you help us clear up our compensation plan? No problem. I'll spend a few hours with them and we'll do that. I'm not getting into comp plan a lot, but I'll give you a couple things for you to be thinking about. Minimum wage. What are you going to pay for your minimum wage people that come to you? Whatever part of the world you're in. Your staff, what are you going to pay them? Your execs, how are you going to pay them? How are you going to keep them? Is it going to be profit sharing, bonus, equity? What are you going to be doing? Number 4, Sales, how's your comp plan going to be with sales? I was in UK. A guy told me I run I sell glasses to women and all this other real nice guy. In 2.5 years, they took their business from $0 to $3 million a year. And I said, but my sales guys are so lazy. And my sales guys are not doing anything. I said, tell me about your comp plan. He said, I pay my sales guys $30,000 a year. I said, what do you pay them in commissions every month? I pay them commission bonus once a year. I said, let me get this straight. You pay them commission once a year? Yes. What do you mean once a year? Yeah, that's how I pay them. How do you want me to be motivated working for you? If I'm working for you as an employee, I don't even know if I'm going to be around with you for a year. What do you mean you're going to pay me the bonus by the end of the year? It's like, yeah, but that's how I do it. That's how it is in London. I said, that's not how it is with anything. Everybody is motivated to get what they want now. The sooner you bonus me. And so I went through a structure on this. It was raining, it was pouring, and we were able to talk a little bit. But your comp plan will dictate the level of urgency and the kind of salespeople you attract. It'll also dictate the kind of executives you attract that want to stay with you long term. That's your comp plan. Number 9, method of marketing. Word of mouth? Is it digital? Is it storefront? What is it going to be? What approach are you going to be taking? Are you going to be going after people just purely online and Facebook ads and YouTube ads? What are you going to be doing? While we're in UK, a couple of entrepreneurs reached out to us. They invited us to go to dinner. We went and had dinner with them. Russian couple, real nice couple. Mother was sitting right there. They took us and they treated us to this Indian curry place. And I said, tell me about your business model. We do $10 million a year just off YouTube. What do you mean? We never did ads. I just made YouTube videos. And next thing you know, that YouTube video drove to my business and we did $10 million last year. We're about to sell it. What's your EBITDA? They gave me their EBITDA. It was pretty impressive EBITDA. And obviously the wife is drop dead gorgeous, very attractive, very pleasant. And he had a massive personality and extremely attractive himself. They look Ken and Barbie type of style couple, right? What's the point here? Their method of marketing was purely YouTube. That's what they use. What are you going to be using when you're driving your product out to people? There are so many ways today, but you got to get clear on it. By the way, the recommendations on this is I made a video called 10 Books to Read About Marketing. I highly recommend you actually study marketing before you put yourself in a box too early. This is the thumbnail. Link will be below. Go watch that video if that's what you're looking for right now. And last but not least, point number 10 is your identity, your story. Meaning, like, what is your story on how you came up with this idea? Was it you? Was it a group of you? Was it some of you and your sales guys, your peers? This is what we came up with. Why did you come up with this idea? People want to know, what is your mission statement? What is your vision? What do you plan on doing? What are you going to be solving? What problem are you going to be solving? Who are you going to be in a marketplace? That itself is your story and your identity, because I can tell you myself, listen, from the moment we started our insurance agency, do you know how many times I've told the story? I mean, if I tell you 10,000 times, that's lowballing it. I've told the story tens of thousands of times to carriers, to people I want to recruit, to salespeople, to staff, to clients, to potential clients, to investors, to vendors, to so many people, to media, to the market, to everybody. You keep telling that story. Your story, your identity is what you're going to be saying for a long time. And people are going to say, wow, that makes sense. It's interesting how you connect the dots and they came up with this and That is your story. I have a video I want you to watch. If this is something you're trying to figure out, it's called Biggest Mistake Marketers Make. That has to do with you coming up with your identity and your story. Goes very, very specific into that. Anyways, if any of this stuff I covered today, if you want me to go a little bit deeper, send me a tweet at @PatrickBetDavid and let me know, Pat, do you mind going a little bit deeper on location? Do you mind going a little bit deeper on such and such? No problem. Send it to me. We're listening to you all the time. We want to hear what kind of content you want to see come on Valuetainment next. Send me a message on Twitter at @PatrickBetDavid. With that being said, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, do so. And if you didn't watch any of these videos next, go click on the link below in the description to watch the next videos. Take care, everybody. Every once in a while, I get interviewed by somebody that runs their own podcast or YouTube channel that asks questions that have not been asked before, which leads to answers and topics that we haven't spoken about before. And I get compelled to want to share it with you. And that's exactly what happened with Petros when he interviewed me. He has his own YouTube channel. He runs a business, owns 700 gyms, very successful entrepreneur out of California. And I think you're going to take a lot away from this video today. Again, multi-dimensional type of a conversation that I think you will appreciate.
Hey friends, Bedros Keuilian here. Welcome to another great episode of the Empire Podcast Show, Inside Look. Today we have a very amazing friend, someone that I look up to, learn from, and of course get entertained by, Mr. Patrick Bet-David, founder and CEO of PHP Agency and Valuetainment, an amazing show that I'm hooked on. Pat, welcome to the Empire Podcast.
Thanks for having me, bud.
Yes, sir. First and foremost, I got to tell you, your interviews of people that, mob bosses and people that infiltrated the mob had me so fascinated that I went back and watched Donnie Brasco and all those movies again because I'm such a big fan of that era. I do have a question for you where that's concerned. If we lived in a different time, maybe if we went back, let's say 40, 50 years, would Patrick had been a gangster?
I think if a Michael Francis was a father figure type, probably, and I would have probably done a pretty good job at it.
Fascinating.
Yeah. If I had a father figure like a Michael or a Sonny or one of those guys, most likely.
Gotcha. Do you think like a gangster at times?
You have to. There's no question about it. In the business world,
Sure.
Oh, you have to think that way.
Interesting.
Oh, you have to, especially in the world of, look, we're friends, we may talk here, but within your world, the bigger you get, there's a lot of people that are not happy about your brand getting bigger.
Sure.
You're opening up more gyms. This is not exciting to a lot of other people that own gyms. It's not even exciting to somebody that runs a different model when it comes down to franchising.
Right.
So you're not helping people, it's helping competitors. You're hurting them.
True.
And when it comes down to it, if it's between your 5 locations versus my 5 locations, they are going to be competitive. So you get in the world of business being everybody wants to help, everybody's this, and then you realize there's a part of it that some of the people would take their side over you any day.
All right. Now, I think the bottom line here as we start off the show is that entrepreneurship is a lot like being a gangster.
It is.
All right.
It is. Minus the killing and all the other stuff. So.
Right. Well, we're killing spirits sometimes, and there's a lot of truth to that. We do. Part of good marketing, I believe, is killing the spirit and the will of your competitor to thrive. And I think all great entrepreneurs must do that. It's just my own personal viewpoint on it. So let's start off here before we get into Valuetainment and PHP. I'm very fascinated about your journey because, like me, you're an immigrant to the United States. I was 6 when I came to the United States. You were 10. What catapulted the move to the United States?
What catapulted the move from Iran to come in here?
Yes, sir.
Well, my father, my mother would go back, and my father would say, "Let's wait till we get the green card before we go to Germany." And then, when the war happened between Iran and Iraq, and then Khomeini died, June 3rd, '89, my mother said, "We got to get out of here." So 6 weeks later, we escaped. We went to Germany, lived there for about 1.5 years at a refugee camp, and then we came out here November 28, 1990. So we had to get out. My parents didn't want me to serve the military over there. And once I hit 12, I can't leave for no reason in Iran.
Really?
At that time. Yeah, so they wanted to get me out before I hit the age 12 so we can, not get caught up being there till 20, 22 years old. Obviously, I came over here and I served the U.S. Army, which was kind of wild. My mother was in Iran, and she got at a point where she ran out of money in the States, and we were a welfare family at that time. My mother went to Iran, and she said, "You have 1 or 2 choices. You can come back with me to Iran, or you can stay here and figure it out." I said, "I'm staying here." I stayed here. 4 weeks later, I went to South Carolina, Fort Jackson, Kentucky, started the Army.
Why?
Called her up, I said, "I'm in the Army."
Why join the Army?
Why at that time? So I'll give you the logical and the emotional. Logical, a guy named Jesus Guerrera kept following up with me since 14 years old. Okay, I wasn't a good kid in school. I was a troublemaker, 1.8 GPA. So he kept coming saying, "What do you want to do with your life?" "I don't know what I'm going to do with my life." "What are you going to do?" He kept saying, "You ought to consider the Army," all these other things. So one day, I'm living with my sister for a month. The following morning, we partied till 4 o'clock in the morning at her apartment at 17550 Burbank Boulevard in Encino. And in the morning, her boss came, a landlord came to her saying, "Listen, you guys partied too hard last night. There's bottles of tequila and vodka all over the jacuzzi. This is an apartment complex. You cannot be doing this." And so she was getting evicted. She told me, "You got to do something." In the morning, I woke up. They stole my Toyota Corolla 1983. Called my dad. I said, "Dad, take me to the recruiting station." Went to the recruiting station, signed up. That was it. Instant decision. Like there wasn't any, let me think about it. The car is stolen. I'm sitting at the balcony. I'm looking outside. I come inside. I call my dad. Take me to Glendale. Text me to Glendale. I tell the guy, "If you can get me in the Army tomorrow, I'm signing up." He says, "It's 3 months." I said, "I'm not signing up." They make a few calls. They get the orders from MEP station. Come back 2 weeks later, I'm in South Carolina.
Why, if you can get me in the Army tomorrow and not wait 3 months?
I am a guy that when I make a decision, I make a decision.
Have you always been decisive?
I would say I've always been pretty decisive. Once I make the decision. So for me, what has happened with maturity is I am now calculating a lot more reason and consequences of the decision, because
Back then, I only had to think about one person as a decision goal. Today, I have to think about my employees, my investors, my family, my wife, my kids, the crusade, the cause, the vision, long-term, short-term. I have to think about all those things. So the decision may take a little longer, but once I make it, I'm moving on.
Gotcha. That's fascinating. So you were in the 101st
Airborne.
Airborne.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And so you get out of the military. How old are you at this point?
I'm about to turn 21. June of 1999.
Okay. So I'm going to fast forward just for a second to today. Like today, you've got this amazing YouTube channel, Valuetainment, which truly, when I say like this man entertains me, guys and gals, like my wife and I'm like, honey, you got to watch this. Like this is the guy, Joe Piscone?
Joe Pistone.
Pistone from Donnie Brasco. I'm like, this is the guy, and Pat's interviewing him. Your interviews are so unique and different. For me as an entrepreneur, doesn't matter who you're interviewing, whether it's athletes or Wolf of Wall Street,
Jordan
Belfort, or any kind of former gangster, FBI agent, doesn't matter. I can take something to apply to my life or my business. So it's entertaining and I can extract value, hence Valuetainment. You named it appropriately. This is obviously seems like your passion project, and you financially do very well in life that you're able to do your passion project. Where did this passion project come from?
So if you go back in high school, if you and I hung out together, I told stories, I pulled pranks. I was the jokester, but the guy that would bring people together. And I was curious. I want to know your story. I want to know about your parents, how your parents met. I was always curious. Like even when we're upstairs, I'm asking you questions. I want to know your upbringing, older sister, older brother, 6 years old when you came out here, 700 stores, $67, $9.97. I'm looking at everything you're telling me. Your age, you talk about your wife, the 2 pictures there. I'm curious. Here's a story of a guy who's got a strong father, who was a card member of communism because he had no choice, comes to the States, tells you there's no way in the world you're going to turn out to be nobody. We didn't come here for you to be anybody. That's that expectation. You turn out to be who you are today. I'm always fascinated by stories, right? So for me, when I came out of the military, I wanted to be a bodybuilder, and then I hung out with bodybuilders. I realized it's way too much on the body and on the logical side. 6'3.5", 6'4" bodybuilding today, you got to be 330 to compete. I don't want to carry 330 pounds on this body frame and go with that. That's too much pressure on the heart. So I made that distinction. I'm not going to go that route. And then all of a sudden I met a girl and got into the financial services. That was purely accidental. I was never going to sell stocks, bonds, mutual funds.
So this point you're in your late 20s when you meet this girl?
21 years old. Okay. I meet this girl at Venice Beach, California. I think we were together, by the way, when I met her. I met her at Venice Beach, California, and then she's working at Morgan Stanley. We start going out. She picks me up in a different car every time. I said, how did you make your money? She said, I work at Morgan Stanley. What do you do? I'm a stockbroker. How did you get your job? I got a degree from UCLA. You need it. They won't hire you. And that's when I send the resumes out. Back then we used to send resumes out. So my resume had Bob's Big Boy, Burger King, Haagen-Dazs, Bally's, and military. That was it. So I sent a resume with a joke on a cover letter, and I told them, I said, listen, if you laugh after reading this joke, this is exactly how my customer's gonna feel doing business with me. They're gonna love me. If you want somebody like this part of your team, give me a call. So I sent 100 of them. I got 30 calls, 15 interviews, 3 offers. I took one of them with Morgan Stanley, Glendale. And so this industry of financial services was never intentional. I've always been a math guy. If I had it my way, I would have probably gone to entertainment.
That was my next question.
Yeah, so that's the part. So I would have gone in that route, but...
Entertainment?
Entertainment.
As in managing or agency? Or actually being in front of the camera?
As in front, behind, storytelling, directing. I'm the guy that, for me, therapy is going to movies by myself at 10 o'clock in the morning.
That explains a lot about
That's therapy. Yeah, so I'll go to movies and I'm sitting by myself and I'll see the movie, like somebody will come back and they'll say, I Am Legend, what a terrible movie. I said, you didn't see the movie. He said, I'm telling you, I saw the movie. I said, you did not see the movie. So you got to go watch a movie with me. Then you go watch a movie and I said, look at this angle. Boom, look at this. You see what happened right there? That's what this is explaining. This part's about this. Look at this. I never caught. Do you see that poster in the back? That's what the director's trying to tell you. Look at that. You missed it. Look at this part. Sometimes we don't catch those additional messages that we need to get, right? The storytelling part. I'm fascinated about that. So I realize today, the world we're living in, if you don't tell the world who you are, if you don't tell the camera the world who you are, the world's going to tell the world who you are. So you have 2 choices. So a lot of people that say, well, I'm a private guy. No problem. Stay private. Let the world tell everybody who you are. Or you can get in front of the camera and say, this is who I am.
So you're saying control the narrative.
You have to, because if you don't, no one really knows who you are. See, I can watch a couple videos of you and you pop up and you comment on Instagram and I go up and I say, let me see this guy. And I say, wow, this guy communicates very well. Petros, that's an Armenian name. Is he Yerevan? Is he Parska? Is he Beirutai? What is this guy? Where is he from? How did he make his money? And then now I come to your place, I see this location that you have. Beautiful, very detailed. July 22nd, baby, you are. So you're one of these perfectionist guys, structure, organized, you got everything situated. So then I'm intrigued by you. But say you don't do that. I don't know who you are. All I'm gonna take is those 3 people that used to work with who didn't like you, they'll say, you never want to work with Petros. Let me tell you who he really is. Then they have more influence than these guys.
Gotcha.
So you have to control the narrative.
That is a great lesson to take away here. That's not a marketing lesson. That's not just a life lesson. That is an overall lesson in how to create your legacy, control the narrative. So you were supposed to be, is there any aspiration in going into entertainment, film still now, or are you so far into the financial world?
No, I put life as 20-20-20, okay? So here's what first 20 is just trying to figure life out and survive, right? Like I have no idea what I want to do. I have to make it out of 20 without committing a massive crime, going to prison, or doing anything dumb. The big dumb mistakes you make in your first 20, I was lucky enough to graduate without making that.
Hey, what was your dumbest mistake in your first 20? You tell me yours, I'll tell you mine.
I mean, it was association was my biggest part, because I was so fascinated with, authority. I had a hard time with authority, right? So it's like, hey, you're telling me what to do, I'd get caught doing some stuff. We're in Vegas one time, me and my 4 guys from Burbank, Torrese, and we're driving down, and New York guys pulls up. Hey, where you from? Where you from? New York. And my dad and Albert are staying at the hotel. These guys take out a gun. We take out a gun. We go at it. We're running the streets. Cops are chasing us.
Wait. Guns actually shot? Like guns?
I'm 14 years old.
Get the fuck out
I'm
of
14
here.
years
Are
old.
you serious?
Oh, no doubt about it. So I run out that night, and I went up. I'm shaking. When I see the cops are coming, they catch us, it's done. You don't know who PVD is, because financial services felony, I can't be in a financial services. So I go upstairs to Tropicana, I knock on the door, my dad comes up, why are you shaking? No, nothing. So why are you so nervous? What happened? No, nothing happened. So why are you sweating? Come inside. So I go inside, we sit there, we're just waiting, they're gonna knock on the door. And nothing happened.
Did you ever tell your dad?
Of course I told my dad. But I told
that night or years later?
No.
Years later.
No way. No. My dad and my mom had a divorce, and if if this story got out that under my dad's watch that I see him once every other week,
oh, I see.
This happened, I would never see my best friend in the world. So I'm not throwing him under the bus. There's no way in the world. So mom's gonna say, look, you can't even control your 14-year-old kid who goes out. So that's just one of many. There's a lot of dumb stories. What's yours?
Holy smokes. Oh, well, mine was, there was no guns involved, but I was part of a home invasion robbery, and I was the getaway driver. So 3 of my friends enter a home that they think is empty. Turns out the little old lady is there. And so instead of just a rob and dash, it ends up in home invasion, is what the cops call it, because, well, the lady sees them, they come running out, and I'm thinking, did you guys get everything that quick? Drive, and I see a helicopter, so it's a police helicopter chase. Brookhurst and La Palma is where I end up getting, unmarked cars, police helicopter, pull over, all right, fellas, run. As soon as we get out of the car, no one's running. I mean, we just dogpile us. And I had a boot on the back of my neck. They bring the little old lady. She's inside of a parked police car. We're sitting on the hood of a car, the 4 of us, those 3 guys who were in the house and me, the driver. And she points out, yes, I saw his face, but she couldn't ID me because I was the driver.
Wow.
I was never in the house. That was a turning corner for me that I will never break the law.
How old
again.
were you at that time?
18. I just turned 18.
Wow.
Yeah. So that could have been something very permanent. Like, it's not a minor anymore. Now I'm an adult, right? So that could have been a very permanent scar on me. So I'm very grateful that never went further.
Well, if the old lady's watching, thank you so much for doing that. He's created a lot of jobs, just so you know. The economy's doing better because of this man here.
Yeah. If I could go back, I would apologize. Yeah, I'm sure she's long gone by now. God bless her. So, all right. So there you are now, through the grace of this young woman that you're dating, and who shows up with many different cars. Were you impressed by the cars, by the money? What was money to you? Because obviously you're like, whoa, okay, she's making money. Money is a vehicle to what for you?
Yeah, so again, we're in Glendale. You and I went to junior high school together. I went to Wilson Junior High School and then Glendale High School. So from Wilson Junior High, we would drive down Verdugo, okay? And it was under the bridge you would drive down. We would walk down all the way down, and I lived on Broadway and Verdugo, right across from, there's a post office here, Glendale High School is here, I'm right here, Broadway, okay? 1323 Broadway is where I live. That drive, I had a friend named Adrian. He would tell me, okay, Pat, tell me a story today. So I would say, listen, would you rather be a millionaire, the best, the richest man in the world, the best baseball player in the world, the biggest rock star, the best Hollywood actor, which one would you want to be? And we would talk about it, right? These kind of, oh my gosh, if I'm baseball, like at that time, Barry Bonds, maybe I'm a McGuire. You know, what if I'm Brad Pitt? What if I'm Warren Buffett or Bill Gates? Or what if I'm, you know, the rock star performing 100,000? Who would you want to be, right? So to me, it was all about the dream. You know, when that song was, it was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine.
Yep.
I mean, it literally was all about the dream, okay? Parents get a divorce. I had one uncle who lived on Upland off of San Antonio. I don't know if you know that area, like Snoop has a house up there. So we go to his house once a year. And every time I'd go to his house, it was a 7,200 square foot house. You'd go in, he always had a Jaguar. He was a Jaguar guy. You know, he had a bird collection here, putting here. You'd go in.
Like a putting green?
Putting green, yeah, to the right. Kitchen, where they would always hang out together and make breakfast. His office was here. One time he took me to his bedroom. You'd go up the stairs. There was a jacuzzi up there for he and his wife. Then the living room was right here. He had a pool table with a picture of Al Gore. Obviously, he was on the left politically. And every time I was there, he would sit and his kids would come and they would debate. And he would say, he's a Christian guy, he would say, let me tell you, I saw an argument the other day. I want to hear what you guys are going to say. Here's an argument. God doesn't exist because of dot, 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 dot. If he did this, if God is predetermined and everything, God knows what's going to happen next, then why do we make bad decisions? Maybe I didn't make the bad decision. Maybe God made the bad decision. And I would see this guy just asking all these questions. His kids, Dad, you don't know what you're talking about. That argument is this. So tell me about the sports team that won. Why did this happen? This man named Luther Lazar. And backyard, tennis court, swimming pool, changing room, flowers, watermelon. He would, plant stuff. And I would see him walk around. His kids, grandkids loved him. Family, they were all together. That was the only element of dream I had in my life. The only thing. The only glimpse that I said, what if, right? So for me, when I saw this girl and I said, look, anything to get out. Bodybuilding, there's not a lot of money in. I was working at Bally Total Fitness. I heard you briefly say LA Fitness. I don't know if you ever did with anything with Bally's in Anaheim. But Bally Total Fitness, so for me, that was the way I got into it. And if this was my route, I always liked math. And I said, if I can get in and they give me an opportunity, I'm gonna make it work. So that's kind of how it happened.
Holy smokes. Moving forward then, so you decide, all right, was it Morgan Stanley?
Morgan Stanley.
Morgan Stanley. How do you cut your teeth? Because from what I've heard, and you tell me if I'm right, you don't even start selling until months later. Is that true?
Well,
in an organization like that?
Yeah, so it depends on how you get recruited. If you get recruited on intern, you're not selling for 3 years. So you're going in, you're not even taking your Series 7 for 3 years later, right? You go in, I work under you, I do assistant stuff for you, then 3 years later you give me the green light, then I go take my 7 after I got my bachelor's degree from whoever, right? And I kind of work it that way. I got a position, is what they did. They gave me a position, okay? And so when I got the position, day one, they submitted my U4. U4 is what you submit to take your Series 7 exam. I took my 766. If you fail your Series 7 the first time, you're done. One shot. You fail it first time. So I got started with Morgan Stanley Dean Witter a day before 9/11, 2001, Monday. The next day, 9/11 happens, 3,700 employees at Morgan Stanley Dean Witter World Trade Center is gone. Oof. So our training went from World Trade Center to Mark Hopkins, San Francisco, complete different side. But so that's how you get your 7. If you fail it, you're out, you're gone. And then at that time, Morgan had a minimum of $12 million you need to bring in your first year. You don't bring 12 mil, you go on probation, then you're out.
Gotcha. All right, so at some point you decide, hey, I don't think I'm gonna work for someone, I'm gonna beat my own path. Why do you even decide to do this? It sounds like you were doing pretty well.
Yeah, at Morgan, no, I didn't get a taste of money at Morgan. I got a little bit of taste of money prior to Morgan, making 10 or 20 grand in a month one time, but never really like a taste of money. And so from Morgan, at that time, my girlfriend at the time was an assistant to a guy who owned a Windows company, a guy named Aaron. And he was a guy I always admired. He was a New York guy that flew in from New York, came to LA, but he made his money in New York. Rough around the edges, 5'3" on a good day, perfect nails, flawless, eyebrows like plucked, like I'm talking like perfection, you know, the ones that you do. He would just come in and the way he would walk, he'd be very particular about shaking people's hands. One of those guys, just try to visualize this guy here, that's who he was. But he was very good in business.
You're such a good storyteller.
So I'm sitting with him and I said, hey, I would tell my girlfriend, you got to give me one-on-one time with him. So I go sit with him and says, listen, your girlfriend keeps telling me you're going to be a millionaire one day. I said, yeah. I said, look at this business card. I'd like to earn your business. I give my business card, Morgan Stanley Dean Witter. I said, I'm working with the best. He says, really? He said, yes. I said, yes. So I sit down. He starts laughing at me. I said, why are you laughing? He says, rule number 1 of creating wealth. I said, what's that? never ever work for a sexy established company. Never. I said, why? He said, if you work for a sexy established company, no one knows you. If you quit, you get fired, you're just another employee ID. Go to a company, help it become sexy, established, be a leader, own a piece, you'll become wealthy. I left. Went to another company, Transamerica. I was there with them for about 7.5 years. And in October 20th of 09, just said we're gonna leave and start PHP agency.
No kidding.
Yeah, started a company.
So PHP started in 09.
October of 09. September 23rd, I resigned. October 20th, we became official. October 28th, the company I was a part of filed a lawsuit, 400-page lawsuit. It's a $400 billion company. They sued us. It's the only time I've ever been sued in my life. Filed a lawsuit. And that, I went from having some savings that I saved in my 20s, depleted all the way down to $13,000, and no one knew about it. Wow. I was playing poker, acting as if I got $1 million behind me. I only had $13,000. Okay. Never missed payroll, never missed commission, never missed anything. And it was a very dirty, this is part of the mafia thing that came in. I was the guy that was a nice, naive guy coming up, and it was cool. Now, obviously, I saw a lot of stuff in the streets, but I was optimistic about everybody's gonna wanna try to do good to you. And then you get into business, and you see a different side. And then you become a competitor. A lot of people that were friends, all of a sudden, they're looking at you as an enemy. Sure. So you see a different part of the game. So that.
How do you feel about that? When people you came up with then see you as the enemy?
I'm very comfortable with that. Look, my parents got a divorce. Bogosian, Bedavid, okay? Bogosians were Armenians, Bedavids were Assyrians, right? Bogosians believed in communism, Bedavids believed in imperialism, okay? Now you gotta realize that, by the way, they believed in communism, so they were not card members because they had to. Right. They were card members because they chose to, sure. Okay? So in Iran, there was a group called Today, and Today was like the communistic, underground project in Iran. So when my parents got a divorce, if I hung out with my dad's family, his brothers would say, look at him. He's a Bogosian, he's Armenian, he wants to hang out with them. And those sarcastic comments, right, I've never liked them. And when I was with the Bogosian family, they would say, look at him, he's like his dad, he likes Assyrian. Look what he's doing, he's trying to be like his dad, he's this. So they would both say, so I was 8, 9 years old, I sat my uncles down and I sat my mother's family down. I said, let me explain to you guys something very simple here. There's only 3 people in my life that matter. My mom, my dad, my sister. You don't matter to me. I am simply good to you because you're my brother, my father's brothers. Outside of that, you're irrelevant to me.
You're saying this at the age of 8 or 9?
8 or 9 years old to my family.
How do you even have the wherewithal, the emotional wherewithal to say this to an adult? And in that culture, because that's the culture I come from,
so
you're supposed to look up to them, you're supposed
to... And I do, I love them. You have to realize that these people are very good to me. I mean, my mother's brother is who brought caviar to me. He'd come at 2 o'clock in the morning after party and he'd wake me up. We'd sit there, hey, don't tell your mom I'm doing this, let's wake up. We'd eat spoons of caviar together in Bandar Pahlavi, which is, Caspian Sea, is the best kind of caviar. And Johnny and these guys over here, Victor, they were very good to me. They were nice to me, but they played the game of pinning. They played a game of pinning, and I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of that because I am here because I am Armenian proudly, and I am Assyrian proudly. I'm Armenian and Assyrian, born in Iran and American. I'm proud to be Iranian, Armenian, Assyrian, and American. That's this blood. That's this product. All of it's combined into being what it is. So I was used to that manipulative games when my parents got a divorce. And so when it happened, it was just purely flashbacks. I get it. I fully understand. But here's what I also know. You can think whatever you want right now. In the next 10 years, you're gonna love to be friends with me. And you will call me, I won't call you. And that's exactly what happened. So the level of patience to say to yourself, if I'm staying true on the way I treat you, your family, peers, people call me, ask about competitors. If I stay true to my game and everybody knows I'm predictable in the way I speak about everybody in the marketplace, eventually people are gonna know who you really are. Color, your true color is eventually gonna come out.
Amen.
So.
Would you say you had a chip on your shoulder, Pat?
Till today.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, till today. I try to fix it so it doesn't come out every once in a while, but it still comes out. And there's a lot of it, it's.
What do you say to people who say, hey, do something about that. You're successful now, you don't have to have that chip.
I don't mind it at all.
You want it there?
I am very comfortable at being there. Matter of fact, listen, I got 3 kids. I got a 6-year-old, 5-year-old, 2-year-old, right? I don't mind my kids having a little bit of a chip. So my raising up my kids isn't the environment of don't fight in front of your kids, don't show conflict in front of your kids, let them not see. I don't come from that school of thought. I don't. I come from the school of thought that they have to see Now they're living with a father who's got a lot of money, successful, whatever. You know, you're always going to nice places. Everybody's always wanting to take care of you because your daddy's this. And, you know, but let's just say Mario is tough on my son. I will never go to Mario and say, Mario, don't talk to my son like that at all. If my son acts up with you and you try to discipline him, say we're friends, you will never hear it from me. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, it's not going to come, hey, Petros, don't talk to my son like that.
It does.
That won't happen.
You believe in the tribe.
He needs it, right? He needs that to push him a little bit. So, you know, I try to find a way, like yesterday. I'll tell you what happened. I almost missed my flight to come to you, by the way, yesterday. And I'll tell you why. So yesterday, I fly in, we were out doing a major project, like we were blowing stuff up, like with tanks, with what was that thing called? Flamethrower. And we're doing all this crazy. I mean, we were doing, you know, Sherman tanks and shooting up drones.
Where was
this? This was in Texas, somewhere we found. Literally, we're dealing with a guy that's an 18 Charlie guy. You got to go to this place, drivetanks.com. Insane, okay, insane. You would love this place. Yeah. So we come back, haven't had a lot of sleep, but it's Sunday, I got to spend time with these kids. I spend time with them. We go out, we go to church, then we go to Yard House, and we go to the house, and we go get a haircut. The two boys, which they like to get the haircut and the massage the whole night. So then we go to their school. They had a trick or treat. They're dressed as the Incredibles, right? So he's running on all this other stuff. And then my oldest, every time he gets upset, he says, no one loves me, and he just wants to, you know, have this idea. And he wrote this nice letter to his friend Lennox, okay? And he gets into the house, you're not giving this to me, you're not a good daddy, you're not this. He rips the letter that he drew to his best friend and he trashes it. I don't want anybody in my life. I said, go grab that thing right now. Go grab it right now, sit down. I said, let me explain something to you. Look at me right here, I don't want you to get distracted. Look at me. I said, rule number one, you love Lennox. Yes, is he a good friend of yours? Yes. Who made you mad today? Me. It's not my fault, it's your fault that you got upset with me. But what does that have to do with Lennox? Here's a sheet of paper, I need you to sit down right here. The moment that you drew that thing and wrote that letter for Lennox, you need to still share that emotion with him. Draw it down right now. You're not taking a shower. He drew it again. I said, you're gonna go give this thing to him because you cannot hold back an emotion like that to somebody you love just because somebody else pissed you off. So I said, does that make sense to you? Yes, Daddy. Draw it down. He draws it down. I said, who loves you? You love me, Daddy. Perfect. It's gonna be okay. But you can't cop out on situations like this. So we go at it. That friction's gonna be there.
And that's a 6-year-old.
It's a 6-year-old, but he has to get that because you and I have the luxury of seeing a lot more terrible things when we were growing up. Yeah. They don't have that luxury. We almost have to create it for them.
Why do you think that's a luxury that we had, the hardships?
You know, I was in the Army. I get out of the Army. People ask me, what's the biggest difference when you were in the Army and you got out? You have a different lens. I can't describe it. Like, listen, a blind person cannot see what somebody with vision can see, right? At the same time, Richard Turner, whom I interviewed, who's a #1 car mechanic in the world, who's been blind since he was 9 years old, because one day he's in school, he's reading a book, he can't see anything here. The only thing he can see is here. And this guy, all of a sudden, is fully blind. He becomes a #1 car mechanic in the world. I said, what do you have that I don't have? He says, I feel everything you're doing. I feel the movements. I feel your eyebrows. I feel everything that's moving. I feel that left hand you just moved right now. I feel that guy over there just moved. I feel he just picked up his leg. His pants just did this. The camera guy just put his arm down. That guy just did this. You don't have that luxury. You and I will never have that, right? We are never gonna have that. The only reason he has that's 20 years of experience of being blind. We have a certain experience of hell. When you experience hell, things slow down. You just kind of look around and everything's slow. It's okay, it's okay. We're gonna figure it out. It's gonna be all right. That's not that big of a deal. Just happen. Game, relax, come back, let's strategize. Everything becomes slower when you have experienced a lot of tragedy, right? Everything. And that chip allows you to say, I don't know why we're afraid of this, not a big deal. This person's not that intimidating, it's okay. We don't need to be afraid of this, guys. We're gonna be able to overcome this. It brings a certain level of poise, confidence to the crew that you're running with. You cannot go to a conference and gain that. You can only gain that from being in hell and back. And so if you haven't had that, you got to almost put yourself in certain situations to experience hell. If you don't put yourself in those types of situations, no conference in the world is ever going to give that to you.
Fascinating.
Not at all.
Fascinating. So, who's your favorite personality that you've had on Valuetainment that you've interviewed?
Who's your favorite personality? Well, first of all, Michael and I are very good friends now. I invested into a business with he and I because of the show. he ended up getting a massive show in Vegas, which if you haven't seen Mob Story, if you go to Vegas, you gotta watch Mob Story. He tells the story of Mob Story. He tells the story about Hoffa, about Marilyn Monroe, how Marilyn Monroe really died and who was behind it.
He says Hoffa is underwater.
I know he is.
Do you believe this?
Well, I mean, listen, I do believe the part that the mob had something to do with Kennedy, because I've asked that from a lot of different people and they have said yes. Because when he became president, the mob helped him a lot. And you know, in Chicago, I interviewed Abraham Bolden, who was the first African-American Secret Service agent. He specifically said that 7,000 people in Chicago who voted for Kennedy were all dead. They were not alive. These are dead people that voted for him. So there was a lot of that stuff that happened that a mob helped out. I'd say Michael Francisi's entertaining. Gloria Allred was very tough. I respect somebody that's gone through hell and back, and for her to be a firm believer, even though we agree.
Tough to interview, or she's a tough person?
She's a tough person, period. 80% of the stuff we disagree with, but you know, you can't explain what she went through in 1984 when she got raped in Mexico. From there, she decides to come out and become who she is. You are never gonna change a person's mind like that. That's a life experience. That is not gonna change. But Jordan Peterson was very entertaining. I can't really pick one or two. Truly, I enjoy every one of these things. The ones that I like the most, you will know which ones I don't like if they're only less. If it's less than 40 minutes, I was really not enjoying myself.
Gotcha.
So look at anything below 40, and I'm saying it. There are some interviews I did where I just went in there, Petros. These are arrogant, cocky, out of control. I'm like, here's Kevin Hart. The guy's got 150 million people. He has to be cocky, and he's not. And you're cocky for what? What are you being cocky for? Relax yourself. You know, you did something that's big, but it's not that, you know, so you can't pull information and want to talk to them. They're too much above everybody. But yeah, if any interview's below 40, I didn't enjoy it. Any interview above an hour, I'm pretty much enjoying myself.
Interesting. So in 2009, you build PHP. And this is an agency where it's financial services. Is it mainly financial services? Or
Insurance and annuities.
Insurance and annuities.
Yep.
How many employees do you have now?
So we have 8,200 insurance agents in 49 states. We started off with 66. So 66 agents is now 8,200 in 49 states. Okay?
In 9 years.
In 9 years. De La Hoya is one of our investors. I cut a check to De La Hoya every month. Gabriel Brenner's an investor who's the first Mexican-born professional sports owner in America, an Atalaya fund out of New York, which is a $2 billion fund. We have 60 employees that support 8,200 agents.
62 employees.
62 employees support 8,200 agents.
Gotcha. In 49 states.
49 states.
In 49 states. How often do you get a big group of these agents together to pump them up, motivate them, give them clarity on vision?
So it used to be more before than now, because if you think I tell the story well, you have to hear them tell the story. I mean, you would think these guys are the founders of the company when you hear them tell the story. I mean, I'm talking tears coming down, they're tugging at your heart, and you know, they're incredible at what they're doing. So now it's more, I go out when needed, but for the most part, our guys are doing it. We do one big conference every year, which we did in August.
Is that the one you had Kevin Hart at?
That's the one I had Kevin Hart at. We had 5,000 people there in attendance. It was wild. I mean, it was absolutely as untraditional as a conference in the financial industry as it could be, because Kevin Hart said the F word maybe 200 times. And our carriers are not used to this, because it's a lot of good old boy, you know, I went to the right school, I have the right last name, I went up the right way, and so, oh my gosh, look what he's saying. You know, our average agent is a 34-year-old Hispanic female, is what we're 51% women, 54% Hispanic, average agent is 34 years old.
I'm curious, was this by structure, or is this just how it turned out? The age, the gender, the ethnicity.
Yeah, so I like immigrants who are hard workers. That's what I like. I like immigrants who are hard workers.
Well, you're an immigrant who's a hard worker.
So that's what I like.
Sure.
I like an underdog. To me, like you and I would get along very well, because you know what it is to pay the price. Then no one has to explain to you what time to get up, what time to work. You're gonna get to work, right? That's what I like. And then when it comes down to support team, I recruit April babies. My favorite kind are April babies, October babies, if they deal with people, February babies. I love those three when it comes down to support. When it comes down to field.
Patrick, I gotta stop you. I've never heard anyone stand right there. We've had some amazing people there, from Tom Bilyeu to Jesse Itzler to, you know, using astrology to decide who's going into
Yeah.
support and service? Explain this to me.
So because I ask so many questions, I'm a numbers guy, it stays with me. So you say July 22nd, and my brain I go and say, who's in July? Who's in July? Who's in July? And then I go boom, 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 boom. What is the level of consistency for 70% of them? Boom, boom, boom. Okay, got it. Let me ask him a question. Are you like this? Yes. Okay, validation. So he's part of that community. You guys are wiring is a certain way. Now, by the way, for me, it's more months than it is astrology. So a lot of astrology people don't like it when I say that because it's more months than I'm about, July 22nd, I've missed it by one day,
Sure.
So that part. So then for field, like running the agency, I like June, I like July. I'm very comfortable in June and July when they deal with sales organization. But that's, those, you got to realize, of course, there's an anomaly. I'm just telling you stuff that I see that for me, it's like, okay,
Right.
I'm comfortable with this. So October, February, April, home office, June, July, dealing with the field.
Fascinating. So you're quite the leader, you're quite the empire builder, and in such a short time. 9 years is a very short run, and it's ironic that you did it in such a short time. So the economy crashes, and you decide that you're going to go into business and get sued at the same time. I mean,
Yes.
you didn't decide to get sued, but that was an outcome of you quitting and moving on. What do you do in times, because right now we're living in one of the best economies ever. The economy's great, unemployment is as low as it's ever been, people have jobs, everyone's buying everything.
Yep.
What is your mindset like in 2009 when the unemployment is 11.5% and the economy is not thriving?
I mean, I am so looking forward to the next crash.
Why?
I'm telling you right now, I am so enthusiastic about the next crash.
But I hear everybody saying this right now, but Patrick, what are you, crazy? This
I
is how
am
you make money
so
in good economies.
I am so looking forward to the next crash. I can't even describe to you how much I'm looking forward to.
I love this.
to
Please
the next
explain
crash.
why.
I will explain to you exactly why it is. When the crash happened, okay, wealth is not made in times like this. The people that are making real wealth today is because they were ready in 07. Not because some of the people are making money, oh my gosh, I turned $7,000 into $228,000 in Bitcoin. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a guy today who is preparing himself for the next 12, 24, 36, 4 or 5 years. Crash is going to come around the corner. Every 5 years we have a small dip, but every 10 years we've had a good sized crash, and every 20 years it's pretty solid, right? When those happen, you will watch the market. In a market, you'll see, oh my gosh, she's scared. Did you see it? She flinched. Oh, I learned. Look at him. He's not going all in right now. Look at this guy right now. Look at that guy right now. They're playing defense. They're afraid. Did you see how he spoke the other day? They're very afraid. And you see some guy saying, boom, 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 because everything is on sale when a crash happens. Everything is on sale when crash happens. When mortgage was booming, if you went to LA, you know this, everybody, S500 was a Paycon.
Yep.
And S500 was like a Ford Focus you're driving. Oh, you drive an S500, is everything good with you financially? You doing okay? Because it was 911, it was Ferrari, it was Lambo, it was Rolls Royce, it was Bentley, right? Every mortgage banker was making money, but it wasn't real money, it was fake money. Everybody owned a nice house based on Nina, no income, no asset. Everybody was getting financed at a $1.5 million home, refinance, make 200 grand, $2.5 million home, $3 million home. Everybody was rich in 2000 to 2006, and in November of 07, it switched, right? And a bunch of people started shutting down. And some people said, well, I'm gonna stay in because I'm in the long call and all this other stuff. Well, they lost a lot of the money, and then they started doing REO, all this other things, right? Right now, something's gonna happen in the next 5 years. And the people that are gonna make massive wealth are the ones that save cash. So I'm a cash guy. Not always. I'm a cash guy pre-crisis.
You're a cash guy pre-crisis.
Pre-crisis.
Got it. Which is now.
Which is now.
Which is now.
So right now is a great time to have a lot of cash.
Because what would you do with that cash if tomorrow morning you wake up and the
A
economy
Mickey
crashed?
Mantle card PSA 8 sells for $1.5 million today. A Mickey Mantle rookie card. When the crash happens, that Mickey Mantle card is going to sell for $300,000-$400,000. You keep that Mickey Mantle card, 10 years later, that Mickey Mantle card is going to sell for $3.5 million. A Mickey Mantle PSA 10 1952 Topps just sold for $12 million.
Holy smoke.
A Mickey Mantle card, artwork from Picasso, all of these things that people don't know how to buy. These are all things that are $1 million, $3 million. When crisis happened, they bought it because the market was doing good. You go to the people that bought all those fancy stuff when the market was doing good, and you buy it at a tenth of a price. You sit on it for 10 years, you made 10x, 20x. This is a perfect time to be sitting on a lot of cash. I sat with a guy who was the grandmaster of backgammon, Victor Ashkenazi. I think you and him would do very, very good together. And he was a former Goldman guy for 11 years. He was a market maker, 40 million trades on a daily basis. And 3 days before the market crashed, I said, how do you feel about the market? I think, my opinion, I think we're about to experience a massive crash. I interviewed him. 3 days later, the market tanks. Interest rates are going to go up. They don't like the current president. Whoever controls rates go up. You know, the market goes down. The issue with China right now, midterms, there's a lot of manipulation that's going to be taking place. And so you got to be careful on what's going on with the people that are the decision makers behind the president, not necessarily the president, but the people that control Fed, all these other things, and they don't like them. So they can poke at anything. You just have to be ready, cash-wise, and it's about to happen.
Gotcha. I love that. Guys, there's such a lesson in this. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this on a podcast, there's so many deep layers of lessons in here for the entrepreneur who's new, who's seasoned, and who's ready to strike. I had the good fortune, Pat, in late 2007, 2008, as the economy crashed, as you can imagine. I'm coaching and consulting personal trainers, gym owners, and well, all of a sudden they stop getting clients because people start losing money. They don't want to get a one-on-one personal trainer, which means one-on-one personal trainers stop working with me. I had to do an instant pivot. I turned the outdoor boot camp model into an indoor model and franchised it within the next 2 years. And that's how Fit Body Bootcamp came to be. And so every time I look at an economy crash, people says, well, the money went away. My mindset is the money just exchanged hands, and I just need to know whose hands it went into and what offer I can make that person. And so I love how you explained this, that you've got to be sitting on cash right now because opportunities are going to come, whether it's a Picasso painting, whether it's a Mickey Mantle card, whether it's someone who's got a competing business that's going to sell it to you at wholesale. Brilliant model. So what is the future for Patrick Bet-David through this agency, with the agency, and also with Valuetainment? Like, what is the big outcome you're trying to achieve in the next 5 years?
So a PHB agency, it's very simple. We have grown now 14 quarters in a row. We have sold more insurance policies than the prior quarter, 14 quarters in a row. We've been up, like 2 years ago, we were selling 500 policies a month. 2 months ago, we sold 4,773 insurance policies in 1 month. So from 500 to 4,773 policies. So we've grown 3 years in a row at a worst case scenario, 75%. There's been some years that was higher. Worst case scenario, we've grown at a 75%. That's 3 years in a row. So that part's growing and it's expanding. It's going in a very nice place right now. We just made the biggest investment into technology, multi-seven figures. We invested into this technology that's going to condense time frames of processing from 15 minutes to 2 minutes to catching things that we need to catch, and quality, everything's going to get better. So we're excited about this technology we're creating. This one's growing, okay? And the part of the insurance industry today is most of the insurance companies, the carriers, the big companies, they tried selling policies courier side. Courier side is if you work for New York Life, I'm New York Life, you're courier.
Got it.
If you work for Northwestern Mutual, you're courier, right? If you sell for AIG, Nationwide, XYZ, you're independent, okay? A lot of the insurance companies banked on courier for many years. They fired their courier. So once they fired their courier, they had to rely on what? Because they thought, I'm gonna go into the internet and I'm gonna sell insurance on the internet. Here's what happened with internet. Nobody in the right mind buys life insurance on the internet. Nobody. Nobody wakes up and says, honey, let's go buy life insurance today on the internet. Because insurance has to be sold, not bought. It's a different buy. You buy a shirt, I like that jacket, let me go buy it. I like that gym, let's go check it out. I like CrossFit, let me go see this. I like this, let me go get it. No one sees an insurance commercial, let's go buy it, right? So someone has to come to you for you to get the willingness to want to buy a policy. So internet, once Google realized how much money these insurance companies are making, the most expensive word on Google today is insurance. It's $53 per click. So if you go on Google and you type in most expensive word on Google, it's going to come up with all the words mortgage, bank. Number one is insurance. It's a real nice pie chart to actually see visually. So they realize internet's going to be too expensive for them to sell insurance on the internet. So now it becomes distribution. When you look at distribution, for the most part, it's taken. Farmers has their own, but you can't sell them. Farmers are only going to sell farmers. You know, you got Trans has their own, WFG has their own, Primerica has their own, you know, New York has their own, Northwestern has their own. So most of these guys are taken. We are not taken. We are still in a place where a carrier can say, we need distribution. These guys have 80, 200. They're young. They're going to go for a long time. We need to do something about it to lock us in. So that part's growing. That's PHP. Valuetainment side, we're about to cross 1 million subs. When we said we're going to cross 1 million subs, we're going to do a 2.5-day conference for entrepreneurs. We'll be launching that very soon. And that's going to be exciting once we do that. It's going to be, A to Z, how to think, how to decide, how to process, hiring, firing, how to raise money. It's going to be very technical. It's not going to be, how sometimes you go to conferences, you can buy my package for this, you can buy my package for this, and everybody's just selling their packages. Yeah. This is not that.
It's not a pitch fest.
Not at all, at all. You're going to have a handbook, and we're processing each issue on how for you to level up leaving with the community of valuetainers to help you grow your business to the next level. So people are going to come from all over the world to help entrepreneurs expand. And this valuetainment community is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So with that part, to me, I'm committed to spreading the concept of capitalism around the world. That's going to continue. I think if we want to really minimize unemployment, crime, a lot of these other things, if we increase entrepreneurs, a lot of those things will go lower. So that's going to continue. As far as the entertainment story stuff, we got some special cool things coming up soon as well.
Gotcha. Fantastic. So before we wrap up, obviously you're one hell of a leader. You're a great entrepreneur, marketer, forward thinker. And if there was a young man or young woman who is an emerging entrepreneur, and you're only going to see them one time, and there's 2, 3, 4 pieces of advice by way of being an entrepreneur that you could impart with them, what would those messages be? What would that lesson be?
So this is one of the things that I notice young people don't have. They typically don't have an answer to what they want. I know this is going to sound strange. The scariest people in the world is somebody that's clear on what they want. When I was single, I thought I knew what I wanted as a woman. So I'd go date, and one time I dated the same kind of girl with 3 different girls. When I tell you, Petros, identical, it's the same exact girl, same exact girl, same exact girl. And one day I sat down and I'm like, you know what, all these girls, the market today doesn't have any good girls and all this other stuff. And the victim side, they're not out there, right?
Sure.
And then I sat down one day and I read a book, 101 Questions to Ask Before You Get Engaged. And I literally went through every single one of the questions. What I thought I was looking for, I wasn't looking for. What I thought I was looking for was on the outside. What I thought I was looking for that was really important to me and what things were non-negotiable wasn't the 3 girls I dated. And I noticed the trend. Okay? So then I came back and I got clear. 4 girls I dated afterwards. Second date, every one of them. I need you to read this book. I need you to read this book.
Really?
Second date. My wife today, our second date, went to church, went to the Steps in Santa Monica, went to Earth Cafe, then went to Borders on 3rd Street, and I bought her a book, 101 Questions to Ask Before You Get Engaged. A week later at her house, 6 hours, we went through every single question together. And these are tough questions, like what baggage do you bring to the table?
Sure.
What are some of the stuff on the past? So if a young person's watching this, when I got clear on what I wanted, everything became clear, right? I knew what woman I wanted. I know what kind of a business I wanted to build. I know what kind of a friend I wanted to have in my life. I know what kind of people I wanted to mentor me. I realized exactly what's the right kind of a mentor. Like I call mentors trifectas. I'll explain to you what I mean. The reason why we get a lot of these things to come, we don't go to them. I want you to know this. You don't see me in a lot of different places. I don't do a lot of speaking because we don't accept a lot of speaking ourselves. We get a lot of offers, which is very nice, but we say no to 90% of them. Here's why. I like T, trifecta type of mentors. This is what makes them T. The letter T stands for theory. He has certain theories in life. You meet a lot of people online that are mentors and they read 200 books and now they're theories on how to build a business, but they've never built a business. The E is experience. He has experience building a business, right? So the experience is, there's a big difference between you being a salesperson versus having employees, lease, office, attorneys, lawsuits. There's a reason why so many people don't do it. So he's got experience, and last but not least, it's application. He's applied and knows what works and what doesn't work. So my eye got very clear in knowing who to take counsel from, and I wanted to be around trifectas. That's a trifecta. Look for trifecta type of mentors around you, because you're not getting gibberish. You're not getting somebody telling you, like my friend Bradford sitting back there, his background in the military, special ops, special forces. He wasn't just in the Army. Like I was just in the Army. I never went to war. I can't tell you what it is to be into war and 7 people dead and I'm carrying one of them. He can tell you that. I can't tell you that. That's a T, trifecta. If it's coming to military, I can't give you stories. He could give you stories. So the moment I went to that and I saw people giving me advice on what to do with my business, I always ask a set of questions and I realized this is a T person. This is a trifecta person. Perfect. I want to be around trifecta types of people because their counsel is always going to give me the blind spot that most people will miss. A trifecta person won't help you miss it. A trifecta person will say, by the way, these 3 things I just told you, you could still do it wrong if you don't pay attention to X, Y, Z. That's the trifecta. So those are some of the things I would tell the younger entrepreneur to be thinking about.
Brilliant, brilliant. So I'm fascinated that you're so into mentorship, because I was going to ask you, when is it that you're going to start mentoring? And then, of course, you said when we hit 1 million subs, we're going to launch this big event. And so I'm curious, do you plan on creating some kind of a coaching, mentoring thing? Because you've got to have people banging down your door saying, hey, mentor me, coach me. I want to experience what you know as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, and this is probably what I'll say, and I don't want it to come across as a, takeaway or an arrogant approach at all. I like speaking to CEOs. I like speaking to people that are building a business that are maybe past phase 1. Phase 1 people, just go watch Valuetainment and come to a Valuetainment conference. You're going to be inspired to want to go into phase 2. But when you're talking to phase 2, phase 3 CEO, that is where I can give direction more than giving somebody at a phase 1. Phase 1, there's plenty of contact to help you go from 0 to 6 figures. You don't need a direct relationship to go to 6 figures today. And by the way, I didn't grow up with YouTube. You didn't grow up with YouTube. When we were coming up, it was like, you talked about the books. Tom Hopkins led you to, Brian Tracy led you to Abram, led you to Kennedy, Kennedy, then Abraham, right? So you went through that part and you read the book. Today, YouTube, you can sit on YouTube today and watch the right videos with the right people producing content. You watch it for 90 days. If you don't get to 6-figure income, purely you don't have the work ethic. I want to get to the part where I'm going with a guy that's doing 10 million to go to 20, 40, 50, 100 million. That's where I get excited about, because the numbers are scalable. And it's typically 2-3 small things you find to tweak where a guy just goes like this. We had 3 guys that flew in, okay? One guy, 3 years ago, he started watching Valuetainment. He was making 200 grand a year. Last year, $15 million. Mario and I sitting at our breakfast, he show me the numbers. I'm like, you went from 200 to 50 million. Tell me why. So I got onto Valuetainment. I watched his 5 videos. I had no idea how to do this. I was not somebody that was sales. I was more the technical guy. I brought somebody that was sales. I brought somebody that was just in my business crew. So we're probably going to go into that direction, but it'll be people that have already built an established business. That's the interest.
I had a feeling that was the direction you're going, and I think that there's a massive vacuum in there for someone just like you. And so I can't wait till you enter there. How do people learn more about you?
I'm easy to find. Instagram, Patrick Bet-David, Twitter, Patrick Bet-David, and YouTube. Just type in Valuetainment and you'll find us.
I do have one more question before we log off. Your Ferrari video that went viral.
Yes.
Was that intentional? Did you guys craft that to go viral, or was that just, it went viral?
Not at all. So I'll tell you the story about that. So we made the video and we went on YouTube, and the title was Best Motivational Video 2015. And it got 2,500 views in the first 24 hours. We were so disappointed. 2,500 views first 24 hours. And then Mario and I are talking about, Mario, this thing didn't do that good. Mario's always like, well, Pat, you got to think about the long term. This is going to do good. We have to be patient. People haven't seen it yet. I think it's doing okay. Like, Mario, this thing didn't do good. Yeah, terrible. And so I was with the founder of Lululemon, Chip Wilson.
I just saw the interview.
When it comes out, it's going to be sick when it comes out with Chip Wilson, his new book, Little Black Sketchy Pants. One of the things he said is, he says, I asked him, I said, are you ever happy? He says a true creative person is never content with what he's creating. The moment they produce a product, they don't like the product. I was blown away by what he said with that, right? Here's a $3.9 billion guy saying from the moment he produced a product, he was never happy with it. It was always like, I have to make it better, make it better, make it better. That's why sometimes it's hard to work with somebody like that, right? So going back to the question with the life of an entrepreneur video. So then I go on Facebook. It's October 31st. It is 3:13 Pacific Standard Time. I'm about to take my kids trick-or-treating. We're going to go to Northridge Mall, and then we're going to go to some friends and go trick-or-treating. My dad's sitting right there. I uploaded on Facebook without telling Mario. I said, I'm going to change the title. I watched the video again. It was 90 seconds to the moment of the story. So I said, Life of an Entrepreneur in 90 seconds. So I changed the title from Best Motivational Video to Life of an Entrepreneur in 90 seconds, and I uploaded it. And then I went with my dad, and then all of a sudden I look at my phone on Facebook, my phone is blowing up. It's got 250,000 views. That's a lot of views if you've never had 250,000 views. And then all of a sudden I go to sleep. I wake up, every single website of ours is shut down. PHP, everything is shut down.
Because of all the traffic.
Every single thing. The amount of emails, in 24 hours I got 25,000 emails. 25,000 emails that we got. That ultimate self-discovery questionnaire on the website was taken 33,000 times. It was taken. 33,000 times that PDF was downloaded. And then obviously it goes 10 million, 20 million, and 31 million views later. crazy stuff.
That's become a legendary video for you.
It's inspired a lot of people around the world. Yes, but just because you did it once, let me tell you, to do it again, it's not like, well, we're gonna do it again. This one's gonna go viral. There is some luck when it comes down to virality.
Ain't that the truth? Mr. Patrick Bet-David, thank you so much for spending time with us here at the Empire Show. Really appreciate you. And of course, if you're not following Patrick, please be sure to follow him. Watch Valuetainment. You will be entertained, you will be educated, and you will get a really good glimpse into the history of what makes this man an amazing entrepreneur. Thank you so much for spending time with us.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Thank you.
You know how many times people say things like, close your eyes, visualize with me. It's 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. What does your house look like? What does your car look like? Imagine having a house with a swimming pool, and it's an infinity pool, and you got the jacuzzi, and inside your bedroom you have a gym, and it's a 4-story, you got elevator, you got this view, okay, that's great. But how about we do it in a different way? Close your eyes, go 20 years from now, and you don't do nothing. You stay the same as you are today. How many divorces you got? What happened to your family? How does your dad look at you in the face? How does your mom look at you in the face? How do your siblings looking at your face? How about the people that said you're gonna quit and they say, I told you so? Every single time you have a beer with them on a Sunday, you have to appease to their opinion becoming factual because you gave up on your dreams. Are you okay with that? You okay with the way the banker's gonna look at you when you go direct deposit your job? You okay when it comes down to a review and you're just always afraid of your boss firing you so you never ask for a raise? Are you afraid with those experiences where you're looking back, seeing another friend that was never at your level and he never made it to the level that you could have made it, but you were more capable, but because he spread his wings, maybe he made it higher than you are today because he wasn't afraid and you're afraid. Say, that's the real exercise. And if you're okay with that, keep living life the way you're living. If that doesn't put the fear and concern in you, you best change today, because I guarantee you one thing, like this, 20 years is gonna go by. And so that is a concern with me, because to me, I don't see a reason for living if I'm not gonna be in the arena wanting to figure out what my best looks like. I just don't see a purpose for it. For what? To watch a movie and entertain and make money for other people? I don't think any human being was put on this planet to be average and ordinary and watch movies of other people's dreams becoming a reality, watch other people's freaking dreams become a reality, from sporting events, from politics, from marriage, from kids, from parenting, from schooling, from education, from whatever level. I think every single person that's watching this here right now, deep down inside, when they watch the movie Gladiator, and there's a scene of redemption, when they watch the movie Braveheart, when they watch these movies and they see someone's dream becoming a reality and that tear comes down your eyes, for the next 2 hours, you think you're William Wallace. For the next 2 hours, you think you're Maxim. You think you're that person. I get the chills telling the story right now to you, because all of us feel that way. So I have a hard time buying people's excuses. I have more of an easy time telling a person, if you go to that point of 20 years from now, you're not living your dreams. If you're not happy with that, let's change about it today. So 20 years from now, you're gonna be the person you always wanted to be. And if you don't make it, guess what? You have self-respect, because at least you gave the fight.
Yeah.
At least you fought. At least you got in the ring. At least you look at yourself in the mirror and says, dude, I'm good. I lost to a guy that's better than me, but I worked my ass off. I can live with that. I can't live with the unknown if I didn't give my effort. What do you think is the influence of colleges, and how do you feel about the current educational system, period?
I've seen large institutions fall apart because they make a fatal error. I think universities are making 7 fatal errors. Top-heavy administration that keeps growing, okay? Increase in the number of part-time, untenured faculty members who have no administrative or academic power. Massively increasing. Insane increases in tuition combined with indentured servitude for students, right? You get a student loan, you can't declare bankruptcy. So that means that the burgeoning administration has learned how to pick the pockets of the young people's future earnings. They entice them into university and offer them extended adolescence with no responsibility, and the price they garner from them is to garnish their future earnings. Crooked game, ethics committees, absolute catastrophe. The dominance of this weird, nonsensical alliance between the postmodern types and the neo-Marxist types, which makes no sense philosophically given the postmodernist stated, what would you call it, skepticism for meta-narratives. Why the hell they've aligned themselves with the Marxists is beyond me, except that I think postmodernism is just a shell game for Marxism. That's another fatal error. The gerrymandering of the grade system. So I think I got 6 there. All of those, they're not good. They're fatal, I think, all of them. And so I think that, I don't know what's going to happen to the university system over the next 20 years, but I'm certainly not optimistic about it. So, and I've hired some people. This is a big problem we just discussed, and I've got this little solution. And so I know I'm talking about a little solution.
That'd be an interesting book if you were to write about it.
Well,
that'd be an interesting
I've hired
thing if you
some
wrote about
people.
it.
I've hired some people to build an online education platform, and they've been working on it for 6 months, and we have a bit of a prototype, and we're trying to figure out how to build an alternative. You know, you said, look, if the conservatives are so concerned about the liberal media, why the hell don't they go out and build their own media empire? It's like, well, if I'm concerned about the education system, then why don't I try to generate an alternative to it?
You're doing it.
You know, I'm trying to.
Right.
I mean, the probability that it will succeed is like zero, because it's an impossible task. But we're trying to build a platform that would help people use their online time more productively and keep track of it. So imagine that everything that you taught yourself on YouTube could be accredited, and you could be rewarded for that across time, and maybe guided through it, so that you could track your educational progress along a whole wide range of potential learning opportunities. We'd like to build an online portal that would make your use of your online time much more productive and engaging. So that's what we're aiming
Coming
at.
soon?
Oh God, who knows? We have a prototype. And we've
I got
applied to Y
something I want you to be
Combinator. I don't
thinking
know if
about.
we'll
Let me
get
tell you what
accepted.
week
Maybe we
this
will, maybe
is.
we
This
won't. We've
is
got
the
all
week.
alternatives lined up.
Well, let us know about it.
Absolutely.
We have some
I will.
context. We would love to know more about it.
I will
of
let
people
you know.
check out till the second week of January. Let me say this one more time. For most people, they're gone for 6 weeks. Thanksgiving, then they get settled down into all the December TV shows, Christmas gatherings, all this other stuff, and a holiday becomes a holly 6 weeks of just being casual. Black Friday, all these other things, Thursday football, all these other things they get caught up with. And you know what happens to their first quarter? Most people have a terrible first quarter because of the way they treat the holidays. This is all I can tell you. I'm not telling you don't enjoy Thanksgiving. I'm not telling you don't enjoy Christmas Day. I'm not telling you do that stuff. I'm planning on doing it myself. I'll be at the office Thanksgiving morning, but I'll be spending the time with my family in the afternoon and the evening. And I'll be there with my family on Christmas Eve and Christmas. I have a lot of family coming over. But this is what I will tell you. Don't be part of the 80% where they're going to be checking out for 6 weeks. Take the 2 days. The rest of the time, stay focused, especially if you are not there yet. Especially if you're climbing up the mountain to get to the top and find out what that wolf on top of the mountain's really up to. Whether you want to go up against that guy or whether you want to see the best version of you at the top of the mountain. Just remember, the week starts this week, where it's filled with so many unnecessary distractions. Because mentally, most people are going to tell themselves, it's okay, it's okay. Thanksgiving, it's okay, it's holiday, it's okay, it's Christmas, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Only a few are gonna say, it's not okay. I got big plans in 2019. My 2019 starts now.
You know what's the one thing I had a hard time with saying for the longest time? You ready? This is gonna sound weird. I had a hard time saying, I don't know. Weird, doesn't it? We love saying, I know. Do you know what happened with that one thing? Yeah, I know, I heard about it. Do you know such and such? Yeah, of course, I know who he is. Have you watched that one movie? I know, yeah, I think I did one time. Did you read this book? Yeah, I did. So do you know what happened? I know. And when we say, I know, even though we don't know, we're not growing. The day I started using the magical words, I don't know, I got smarter and wiser. So today, practice saying, I don't know. And notice how quickly you'll learn a thing or two that you didn't know before.
So listen, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, the introverts are kind of like, I don't know if I want to create content. I'm kind of like the private guy to myself. I kind of watch everybody. I'm more observant. I don't want to really put my life out there. You're the extrovert. You like to put your life out there. You post pictures of you without a shirt on, drinking, partying. You're in Rosarito, Miami. You're so comfortable in your own skin. But the types of content you create isn't necessarily helping you advance in life, whatever it may be. Today, I'm going to break content down in a way maybe you haven't heard before. 1, why you ought to create content. 2, the types of content to create, the audience, the platform, and last but not least, 10 rules for creating content. So by the way, before the video ends, I'm going to make another recommendation on a video to watch that has to do with everything I'm talking about today, but let me get right into it. Number one, why create content? One of these is probably going to describe you. Let's go through it. First thing is influence. You want more influence. You want influence amongst your family, amongst your community, amongst your people you do business with, your peers. It doesn't matter. You're looking to have more influence. Number two, SEO purposes. Let me explain what I mean by this. Before I started creating content on Valuetainment, I used to just create content on our company's website to give it better SEO, because an article would be shared. Then they would go on the company's website and they would say, oh my gosh, this is an interesting company. What do you do? Then I'd get a lead and somebody would contact me about wanting to do business with them. That's another reason to create content. Or it's personal. You have a website, you create content, it gets shared. People say, wow, who is this guy? Who is this gal? I want to get to know more. Then they go to the About You section. They read up on you, and then they follow you on Twitter, follow you on Instagram, see the pictures you post. They send you a message and say, when can we get on a call together? That happens all the time. Number three, targeting keywords. You have certain set of keywords that have to do with your business on a daily basis. Real estate, finance, pharmaceutical, doctor, soccer mom, parenting, whatever it is that's the keywords you're specifically looking for, you want to target that. Number four, positioning. You want to be seen as an expert in your industry. So they see the content by you, this guy may be an expert. You want to have influence, you want to have a voice, you want to have credibility. Your purpose to create content may be purely positioning within your own industry. Five, fame. Maybe you want to be famous. Maybe for you it's like, look, honesty, I'll just be honest with you. I want to walk in the streets and I want people to know who I am. Cool, at least you're being honest about it. You want fame, that's another reason. Number six, money. You kind of want to create content, have some influence where all of a sudden you're getting sponsorships. You know, we got a call from Amazon. Amazon wants to do a sponsorship with Valuetainment. We may or may not be interested in the sponsorship, but they contacted us. This happens all the time. This may be a route that you want to go yourself. Next one. Seven, selfish, fun, prank. For you, it's like, I just want to have fun. That's why I want to create content. I want you to see the fun side of me. This is who I am, and I don't care whether you like it or not. This is kind of what I want to do. I like creating content. I'm having fun creating content. Honestly, it's brought me and my sister closer. It's brought me and my husband closer. It's brought me and my friends closer. I kind of like what I'm doing, and whether you like it or not, I really don't care. This is really who I am. I'm 17 years old. I want to draw this, and this is what we talk about. No problem. That's another one. Next one. Could be legacy. You're documenting your content because one day you wish your parents recorded you when you were 4 years old, and there's no content of you when you were 4 years old, and you're creating content. So one day, when you're not around, your kids, your grandkids can sit there and say, that's the grandpa, that's my grandma. What was she thinking about at this time? What was he thinking about at this time? How old was grandpa in here? How old was grandma in here when she wrote this? I wonder, let me see. Wow, she was 32 years old. What was she going through? Was mom born yet? By the way, we're not even experiencing that yet. We're not going to experience this for another 20, 30, 40 years until people start dying off and we're reading the content. That is so still early on that part of legacy and documenting. Next, it could be impact. You want to make an impact around the world. Next one is therapy. Let me explain what I mean by therapy. There are people that after creating content and they say, I'm a veteran. I was in the military. I got out. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you everything was good. I was going through PTSD because I went to Afghanistan and I saw people dying. My friend died in my arms. This was very difficult for me. I started drinking, and I'm just sharing with you my pain, and this is therapeutic to me. And then all of a sudden, 80 other veterans say, I feel you, me too. Then there's a community, and that works for that community. That could be the case for you. Next one could be internal. Let me explain to you what I mean by internal. We use this a lot. Internal could be you're creating content. You had a family reunion, okay? You put the video together, you create a channel for the Johnson reunion. And that channel creates content that's only for the Johnson family, and all the videos are unlisted. It's only for the family to watch. And you share with the family. Or you're running a business, you're running an office, and you have, people that are of other offices, and you're trying to get a message to your technology, your engineers, and you say, hey, this is what's on my mind right now, here's what I'd like to see everybody do in the company. And this goes to your 10, independent folks that are working for you, your freelancers that's working for you. That's a complete different reason to create content that helps you increase the value of your company, your family, your relationship, your friends. You're doing a fantasy football. So you have an internal channel for your 20 friends that are doing fantasy football. You create content. John, I'm going to kick your ass. I'm going to do this. That's still creating content. Now, one of these you connect with. If you're connecting with one of them, your next question is going to be, okay, now what do I do? Now let's talk about the types of content for you to create. Here it is. Trending news. What happened today? Trump, business, sports, trending, something that just took place today. 2, business, money, politics, education, philosophy, entertain, comedy, humor, technology, product review. Let me do a review on this new product. There are people that do product reviews that are doing Lego reviews. You know how I know that? My kids watch those reviews on toys and they put them together, right? There's so many different things with product review. Vlog, family, how-to. Those are some of the types of content that you can create. Now, A, TAP. Remember this acronym, TAP. Type, audience, platform. A, who's your audience? Niche, industry. It's only real estate. It's financial. It's sports. It's such and such. It's a niche, right? Who you're going to. Age, I'm looking for 16-year-olds, 25-year-olds, 40-year-olds married with kids, 55-year-olds getting closer to retirement, whatever it is. Age, demographic, certain demographic you're looking for. Women, men, single, married, divorced, widowed, a wife of a veteran who's serving in a military and she's by herself for 18 months while he's on. Whatever it is, it's a specific targeted demographic that you want to touch. Next, views. Maybe they share the same views as you. Politically, spiritually, philosophically, that's the interest that they may have is similar to yours. I'm watching NBA. Stephen A. Smith says something. I respond to Stephen A. Stephen A. Smith is wrong. He has no clue what he's talking about. Maybe it's hip hop. Maybe it's a music world or certain area that you're talking to that's interest. Area, country. I'm mainly targeting London, UK. But for me, it's San Francisco. I'm out of the Houston area, so H-Town, right? I'm gonna go to specific areas that you're going for, right? And last but not least, language. You're doing these videos on Spanish right now. There's a channel called Valuetainment Russia. It's videos that is specifically for Russia. They take our videos on what I'm doing, and a translator translates the whole thing. If you were to go watch my interview with Michael Francisi on the channel in Russian, it's an hour and 7 minutes, all in Russian, going back and forth. But it's a language, and they decided to focus on Russia. I think the Valuetainment Russia channel has like 40,000 subscribers as of today. So what is that language you want to focus on? So type, audience, platform. Let's talk about platform. You got to realize that for everybody watching this, okay? I connect with a girl who is a professional bodybuilder. She's got an 8-pack. It doesn't even make any sense what she looks like. When I go do my physical, she takes my blood, and it's all these, people that are there, and they're all, fitness and shape, all these things. I look at her. Her content is purely about fitness, is what she's doing. Here's the point. If you got a face and you look incredibly good, you got to use it, okay? If you got a voice and you're a good communicator, you gotta use it. If you got a body and you look good, maybe you use that because it's for fitness, right? If you're a great writer, you're very good, you gotta use it. If you're good in front of the camera, you gotta use it, but you gotta know which one works for you, right? Now watch this. Name, face, body. One of those 3 works for you, you got a last name. Your last name everybody knows, use it. So now, platforms. Written, write a blog. LinkedIn or another blog. There's so many blogs for you to use. Pick Insta. So you want to put a picture and you write something on the on Instagram. Audio, podcast. There's so many places right now to use for podcasts, and you're speaking your thoughts, any of these things you're talking about, right? Podcast. By the way, many of you don't know that Valuetainment is on iTunes. Just go to iTunes, type in Valuetainment. All our stuff, I think like 212 episodes as of today are on podcast. So some of you are driving, you want to listen to it in your car, click on the Valuetainment channel. You can subscribe, post some comments there, your reviews there, and actually listen to the stuff while you're working. We have a podcast as well. Video, YouTube, Facebook. Facebook wants to compete with YouTube. So does LinkedIn, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitch. For some people that are gamers, that's a complete different world. That's niche as well, by the way, gamer here. The gamer world is Twitch. By the way, we have a Twitch channel. Every once in a while, I get on there. I played backgammon the other day with Victor Ashkenazi. You would have watched me play the game with backgammon with Victor Ashkenazi. You would have watched it live on Twitch. You can follow us on Twitch Valuetainment. That's for gamers. Our guys sometimes here at the home office, at the studio, they play FIFA, the new FIFA, and you're sitting them, listening to them talk smack. That's a complete way to create content. So now, we've covered why to create content, type, audience, platform. Now let's talk about rules, okay? And by the way, my rules are my rules. It doesn't mean they're your rules. I could be wrong. There's a lot of people that disagree with my rules, but these are my rules. And these are some things I want you to be thinking about. Number 1, more content doesn't equal more influence. Let me say it again. More content doesn't necessarily equal more influence. Some people just want to put so much content out there. We were coming up and we were studying other channels. And I thought this was the philosophy. And one of the channels had 4,000 videos on their YouTube channel in the business world. One of the biggest names, and it's a content creator, it's a brand. It's not even an individual, it's a company. And I had been creating content since YouTube first got started. I said, why do they only have 200,000-300,000 subscribers? They got 4,000 videos. Then I went and watched the videos, and I looked at it. 228 views, 193 views, 673 views, 498 views. Their last 50 videos. One of the videos had 10,000 views. And then I went to the beginning and I saw they had 3 videos that had a couple million views. So those few videos that got a couple million views that they posted 5 years ago is the reason why they have this many subscribers, not because of what they're doing today. So this whole strategy of let me just throw stuff up on the wall, you can't be doing that. Look, every single time we take more time to create content, it always shows on the numbers and the results. Every single time. If we take more time to create content, it always shows on the results. Every single time. Just look at the different personalities on YouTube who get interviewed by different people and look at the viewership and the commentary below. Read the comments below and you'll be able to say, this person interviews deeper. This person, same subject, rules for money. This person, same subject, mistakes I made as an entrepreneur. This person, same subject, but their views are higher. Why is it? Deeper? What's going on here that's different? Or is it just, let me share with you how to go become a millionaire? Because guess what? The word millionaire does very well when I put it on the title. You got to get deeper with the content you're creating. So right there, number 2, control the narrative. If you don't talk about what you believe in, what your views are, who you are as an individual, the world is going to control who you are because they'll tell everybody who you are. One of the biggest benefits today, I was watching an interview the other day on when they asked LeBron about him missing free throws because LeBron's been missing a lot of free throws, and Stephen A. Smith came and said, LeBron is a career 73% free throw shooter, right? But 50% free throw shooter last 5 minutes of the game, and when it comes down to the deciding game free throws, he's like 40%. And he says LeBron's never been a big free throw shooter. Then his partner comes out and says, in today's social media world, you can't hide. You could in the 80s, you can't today. So when they asked LeBron, what do you think about your free throw shooting? He says, it's horrible. I got to get back and practice. I have to get back and get at these free throws because I'm not good at it today. 30 years ago, he could get away with that. Today, he has to explain it because we're living in a world that if you don't control the narrative and talk about the things you're dealing with, somebody else is going to control the narrative and talk about what you're dealing with. So you got to share your views on what you're thinking about. One of the reasons why you ought to create content. Number 3, find your one word that works for you and words that don't work for you. Let me explain. Get a sheet of paper. Ask people who know you very well, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, mom, dad, brother, sister, anyone that knows you very, very well. Your best friend who you hang out with knows you very well, who's not afraid of telling you the truth. And you ask them, when you think about me, what word comes to mind? What do you mean? What do I know a lot about? What am I passionate about? Movies, business, money, finance, skateboarding, sports. Tell me what it is. What can I go really deep in and then see a trend? And then see if that word matches your passion as well. If the word matches your passion, you go for it. For us, the one word was entrepreneur. Very simple. We went after that word and we became who we are today on Valuetainment. You go on YouTube, you type in the word entrepreneur, you'll see Valuetainment all over the place. Why? Because we wanted that as our word. And we learned believe it or not, we have a list. Just 2 days ago, I sat with these guys and I'm saying, listen, says, oh, look at this word here. I said, this word on titles has never served us. We have a handful of words that have never served us when we create content. The excitement, the enthusiasm from the audience, it's never worked. Why? You have to know those words. We know both words on what works and what doesn't work. Number 4, collaborate accordingly. Sometimes we get people that say things like, well, why don't you collaborate with this guy? And why don't you collaborate with this guy? A lot of people we've spoken to, just so you know this. So it's not like we're, are not reaching out or not having conversations. Some of the ones we talk to, and it's just, maybe it's not the time right now to collaborate together. Maybe let's try to work on a bigger project together. So when it does happen, it's bigger. There are some people that I listen and I talk like, that's Valuetainment, we get along no problem. And there are some people that say, I just don't know if we have similar philosophies and beliefs. Point. If you get too early and you start collaborating with anybody and everybody and you're part of a clique, you're officially part of that clique. Everybody sees you as being part of that clique. You have to know exactly what community you're okay being labeled with, because once you collaborate, that's what happens, right? But once you realize, I've tested, I've done some other stuff here, I kind of feel like this is the direction we're going to be going to, and this is who we want to collaborate with. Stay true to that. And that leads me to the next point. Do not prostitute your brand. A lot of people prostitute their brand. We got so many offers from people that said, we'll pay you $100,000. We want you to say this. We'll pay you $200,000. We want you to say this. And we always said no, because it just didn't make sense. We get numbers of offers of people wanting to do stuff on Valuetainment as sponsorship that we say no to because it doesn't match what we stand for. And so we stay true to the audience, because the audience comes and says, if we ever do any kind of sponsorships, you'll know I support what that brand is. I'm going to say, I support this brand. Here's what I think we ought to do with this brand. And you'll say, wow, Pat's actually sponsoring somebody right now because we use that product or we believe in that product. Don't prostitute your brand. Your followers will appreciate you if you don't prostitute your brand. Number 6, study your data and test. Actually look at the numbers. How many minutes do people stay on with you? When you're writing an article, how many views it got? How many people stayed on? Did they get off? Did they comment? Did they not comment? What's going on good on what time? What time when you posted? This time works for you. Maybe 9 o'clock isn't a good time because we're Eastern, Central, Pacific. You got to look at all that stuff with your data. When you look at the data and you say, wow, this is actually good for us to start posting it like this. And I like this. By the way, when we first started, it was about creating one content per month. That's what I committed to. One blog I wrote per month. Then I went to writing once a week. It was on a Sunday night. That's how we started. And then it was one video a week. For a year and a half was one video a week, then 2 videos a week, and then we got specific. But we tested a lot until we got to where we're at today. Next, show your mistakes and be vulnerable. My gosh, I cannot tell you how many mistakes we've made. One of the favorite videos of Valuetainers is the video I made 12 mistakes I made as an entrepreneur. If you haven't watched it, I think it's like a blue thumbnail. You can go watch it. It talks about the mistakes I made. If you only talk about everything you do right, it's a turnoff. You got to talk about a lot of the mistakes you made, because there's no way in the world anybody makes it to the top of their game or does good at anything without having made a lot of mistakes. People, believe it or not, want to know more about the things you did wrong and the things you did right. Believe it or not, people want to hear your mistakes more than the things you did right. Next, focus and stay consistent. If you say once a month, commit to once a month and stay focused. If you say once a week, do it once a week. Can you imagine if the news was supposed to report every night at 8 o'clock, one day they say, oh, we were late today, 9:30. We're not going to do it today. We're going to go tomorrow. It's okay. They can't do that, because then you wouldn't take them seriously. Your audience wants to see a trend with you. The more focused you are and consistent you are, they know every Monday more. Like this last week, we were late on Motivation Monday by 4 hours. You know how many messages we got? If there's anything I can't stand when we do, is when we're late on an episode. Why did we go late? It was an issue that I made a decision to go late on a video that we already had prepared. It was already edited. It wasn't a mistake on our team. Myself, I woke up at 5 o'clock. I said, this video is not going live. I came back. I told the guys, we're reshooting. I shot a video early in the morning after I did my cardio, and then we put it up 4 hours later. I said, we're late, but this is the video going out. But you got to know that your audience, how many people told us, Pat, you guys are late. Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it at? And then we went live with them. We apologize for being late with it. Number 9, challenge them to question your views. For instance, here's what I think LeBron should be doing. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? Tell me your thoughts. Here's what I think needs to happen with business. What do you think about it? Put your thoughts below. Here's what I think I need to be doing with this. Ask for people's thoughts, whether they agree with your views or not, because you're going to find some stuff that's going to help you out as well, especially as you're coming up first and you're not an influencer yet and you want to get a lot of dialogue. That is a good way to get participation. And last but not least, content you create that's for today versus evergreen. Meaning, if I talk about stuff that's relative only for today's news, it's only for today's news. You ain't going to watch it 2 years from now. But if it's content I create that is evergreen, it's going to last a long time. What is the pro con of both? Here's all it is. If you create a content that has to do about today, it immediately gets a lot of hits. Immediately. But it only lasts for 1 day or 2 days, okay? So it goes like this, boom, and then it's flatline, okay? That's still a benefit because people want to know your views. But if you create an evergreen content, it may go like this, but it'll last forever. 5, 10, 20 years from now, they're still going to be watching it. Think about How to Win Friends and Influence People, the book that was written many, many years ago. 80, 90 years later, people are still reading that book because it's evergreen. 1,000 years from now, people are going to want to learn how to win friends and influence people. So evergreen versus trendy today, you can pick and choose which way you want to go. Those are some of the rules when it comes down to creating content. And if you haven't watched the video, like I promised you, 24 keys to making your content go viral. A lot of people asked us. We had a video that went viral and got 31 million views. How did you do it? I made a video and I gave 24 points. How to make your content go viral. It's very specific. Click on this link if you haven't seen it yet. And by the way, anything, questions, thoughts you had about today's video, send me a tweet at Patrick Bet David and I will respond back to you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.